Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV episode number 125. It's a milestone episode. We have nothing exciting planned. But we are coming to you from Alter Ego Comics, comic book store in Lima, Ohio. And every week we read a bunch of comics because we love them, and then we come back and start our day by telling you what we like the most, and hopefully encourage you to check those out as well. Because supporting good things is the way to go. So, speaking of good things, we want to kick off with some information that was unveiled on Tuesday of this week at the Image Comics Expo. This is the second year that they've done this. Last year it was more of a fan event. This year it was more of an invitation only for retailers and the media and the chosen few, I guess. And I'm kicking myself for not going. We're in Ohio. It was in San Francisco. It was one day. I just couldn't justify it. I'm sorry. I will maybe try next year. But a whole slew of announcements were revealed yesterday. It was almost like their own version of Comic-Con where they just made all of their announcements yesterday. So we're going to run through a few of those kind of sort of quickly. Image Comics just announced that they are selling lots of comics. Their dollar sales over last year are up over 30%. Their unit sales are up over 30%. And that's a great thing. Creator-owned is huge right now. People are following creators that they discover reading Marvel or DC comics over to Image or IDW or Boom or Dark Horse or any of the independent publishers. But Image is the 800-pound gorilla at this point as far as creator-owned. We've got a couple new series from Rick Remender, the writer of Uncanny Avengers and Captain America, that will be coming out from Image in the near future. Deadly Class and another one. Why don't they put these in order? I have to scroll down here. Deadly Class and Black Science. So we've got a couple coming from Remender, and he's returning to Image Comics after being away for a while. Really excited about another Marvel creator. Jason Aaron is doing an Image book called Southern Bastards, which is being described as the Untouchables versus Boss Hogg. So how can you not love a book like that? Actually, it's set in a fictitious Alabama county where the main villain is the high school football coach who everyone loves, and I kind of get the feeling it's like Friday Night Lights, but with Boss Hogg.
Is he played by John Voight?
He could be, yeah. He's played by Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh.
It's a comic though, so he's not played by anybody.
I don't know. Sam Jackson played.
But the cover that I'm looking at right now, we'll put the cover up too. It's the football coach on the field with a gun tucked into the back of his shorts as he's coaching football. So I love that. And Jason Aaron is a Southern boy himself, so it should be interesting. J. Michael Straczynski announced that all of his previously published Marvel Icon work is coming back to Image, including Dream Police and what is this other one? Book of Lost Souls. So those will come back to Image and I imagine continue. Also announced a new series with artist Bill Sienkiewicz, who rose to fame at Marvel in the 80s with Moon Knight and New Mutants, and that one is called Alone, and that one looks interesting as well. Big news for fans of The Walking Dead. That series is going bi-weekly starting in October for a 12-issue storyline called All Out War. This is celebrating the 10th anniversary of The Walking Dead first being published. So Kirkman is pulling out all the stops. You're going to get 2 issues of Walking Dead starting in October for 7 months. Crazy.
That also doesn't add up to 12 issues.
There's one issue. It's 2 issues a month,
okay,
and then we'll spill over into one more. Shut up. And then we've got Ed Brubaker, who's writing Fatale over at Image Comics right now. He's got a new book with his Captain America collaborator, Steve Epting, called Velvet, which is another spy noir thriller. The assistant to the director of a spy agency is called back into service, and after 20 years of not being in the field, when one of the top spies at the agency is killed, and this is a female lead. So Brubaker is all about the female leads these days with Fatale and now with Velvet. What else do we have? Matt Fraction is doing an updated version of the Odyssey called Ody-C, O-D-Y-C. Takes place in space, and the genders are switched on this one. So you're getting a female Ulysses-esque role model that Fraction is writing because he wants his daughter to have a role model like that, which is not a bad motivation for writing a book. Mark Miller, who created Kick-Ass and is doing Jupiter's Legacy over at Image right now, has made an incredible statement that he is going to try to create a Marvel-esque universe of comics at Image in the near future. So I don't know. It's going to be the Millerverse, and anything's possible with him. But that gives us so much to look forward to, and that's not even mentioning some of the other books that we're going to be seeing from Image over the next 6 to 12 months. So they really have a lot up their sleeve, and they timed everything perfectly. They had this expo yesterday And that was the first I'd heard of Velvet, and then in our shipment of comics that came in yesterday, we got a poster for Velvet. They mentioned that they redesigned and relaunched their website yesterday, so it went live during the Image Expo. So congratulations to Image on having an incredible couple of years here, and we're looking forward to more great stuff from them. I'm out of breath, so Josh is going to take over and talk about what he liked this week.
My first pick this week is Daredevil Dark Knights #2, words and art by Lee Weeks. Mark and I both really loved the first issue, and the second issue continues the trend. The first issue is still on the stands, but a quick recap. Matt has been really just beat to crap and is in the hospital. He briefly suffered from some amnesia, not 100% sure who he was, and now he's off in the worst blizzard in years trying to save a downed medical transport so a little girl can have a heart transplant. And it's so good. They hit all of the right notes for a Daredevil story. You know, you have him interacting with the world. You know, he walks through Hell's Kitchen to get to where the helicopter has crashed with the heart in it, and it's so awesome. It's very emotional. There aren't a lot of comics today that are just earnest. You know, most comics are dark or depressing, or comics that are cynical, and you know you see these heroes, but they're actually twisted. And this isn't it. You know, this is a book that genuinely believes in hope. And there just aren't books like that anymore. And maybe there should be.
Another thing I thought of as I was reading that is what Max Landis said in his Man of Steel tirade, his Man of Steel video. Google or YouTube, look for on YouTube for Max Landis's Man of Steel.
As long as you're not offended by language.
Yes, there's quite a bit of profanity. If you're an adult, you shouldn't be. But anyway... He said, you know, a lot of these big superhero movies like Avengers and Transformers recently, and, you know, any of the big superhero movies involve a lot of collateral damage and a lot of massive destruction. And he said maybe they're concentrating too much on the super and not on the hero. Daredevil Dark Knights is completely concentrating on the hero. It's showing us what a hero Daredevil is, and without massive explosions and buildings falling down and you know, arch enemies and villains. There is no villain in this story. It's just Daredevil trying to save the life of a little girl through circumstances that are preventing that from happening. So, wow, such a good book. Great book. All right, first up for me, hey, I'm going back to Image Comics. Image, we love you. Satellite Sam #1 comes out this week. This is written by Matt Fraction with artwork by Howard Chaykin. And you've got two fantastic creators on this book that examines television in the 1950s. The gist of it is there's a kids' science fiction show on TV where the main character is Satellite Sam, who's probably in his 60s, I would guess. It's very fast-paced. It's very much like you're in the TV show Newsroom or one of the other fast-paced, you know, news shows. You get to see what happens behind the scenes, you know, what needs to happen so that this television show gets produced. But what happens when their main character doesn't show up for work and they're doing live television? Well, they have to go out and figure out what happened. And we discover that the main character has been killed, and he's into a bunch of kinky stuff. So this main character from a kids' TV show in the 1950s found dead with a bunch of incriminating evidence around him. And that's the first issue. I'm not giving the plot away because that's been scattered all over the internet. But what happens next is the interesting part. So it's another winner from Image Comics, another one that we really believe in, so we're offering it to you risk-free. Pick it up, try it. If you don't like it, bring it back. We'll give you store credit within 7 days. But it's just really good. And Chaykin, a lot of people either love or hate Chaykin's work, and I tend to love it because I grew up with his artwork, American Flag in the 1980s, and some of the Marvel stuff he did. I did a Wolverine Nick Fury graphic novel called The Scorpio Connection, which was really cool. So it's nice to see these two guys working together, and it's just another uplifting book from Image Comics.
Yeah, and what I liked about it, and as the love-hate of Howard Chaykin, I hate Howard Chaykin, but it is what it is, dude. Everybody you draw looks like Dominic Fortune. You made Black Hawk come out with a venereal disease, first in the DC Comics history, by the way, and you know what you did, Howard Chaykin. But in this book, drawing people from the 50s, drawing this cool technology, drawing the people with the square jaws, it worked for me. It really, I hate Howard Chaykin, but I didn't hate him in this. And I think the line that I saw a description for Satellite Sam was Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip meets Mad Men. It's a live production television show, fast-paced, set in the 50s where things are different than they are now. Maybe Studio 60 was canceled in one season. Let's say Newsroom. That's similar, totally. But just great book from Matt Fraction. And my next up this week is Superior Foes of Spider-Man #1, written by Nick Spencer with art by Larry Lieber? No, Steve Lieber.
Larry Lieber was Stan Lee's brother. No, that might actually be his name.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, Stanley Lieber. Larry Lieber is Stan Lee's brother.
Oh, yeah. He didn't draw this, though.
That would be a big thing.
Be a big deal. Superior Foes of Spider-Man is very cool. It's part of the new Superior Spider Month they're pushing this month with some new things tied into the Superior Spider-Man book. And it follows pretty much exclusively spider villains. The main character is Boomerang. Yeah, the main character is Boomerang. But it's really compelling. It's written by Nick Spencer, and it has one of the things that he's really good at, which is character motivations. It's all voiceover. It almost gave me the feel of like a Maltese Falcon or any kind of old noir that's narrated by somebody who knows they're doing stupid things and knows it's all going to end badly, but it doesn't matter because they're just so charismatic in doing it. And you see that he's not charismatic. He is stupid, and his friends are stupid. But it's so cool. It's neat to see this kind of background. We see every time the Shocker shows up and Spider-Man punches him up and webs him to a lamppost. We see that all the time in the Marvel Universe, but we don't see where he goes after that. What it's like when you have to get out on bail if you happen to be the Shocker. Or what it's like when Boomerang needs somebody to feed his pets. And it's just very cool. It's sprinkled with all kinds of references to the Marvel Universe, specifically the Spider-Verse and the various different villains. And it's just a lot of fun to see these people interacting in kind of a human manner rather than just spouting maniacal dialogue. So Superior Foes of Spider-Man was a great off-beat choice this week.
Next up for me is Trinity of Sin Pandora #1. This is from DC Comics. And we get to find out more about the character that showed up in every first issue of the New 52, and then we never heard from again. Actually, we heard from her a couple of times. I think it was a Free Comic Book Day special 2 years ago, or the backup in a Justice League that was published many months ago. But this is a prelude to the big Trinity War that will be invading the Justice League titles very, very soon. And we get to see her origin. We haven't gotten that before. We've gotten little glimpses, but this is the complete origin of Pandora. And why she's punished for her sins, why she's part of this Trinity of Sin that includes the Question and the Phantom Stranger. And it's good. It's a good setup, I think, for... this appears to be an ongoing series where she's going to be involved with various members of the DC Universe. But for a character that has had very little page time since her birth a couple of years ago, they really made me kind of interested to see what happens to her. So if you're curious about this character of Pandora that's going to be interacting with the entire DC Universe and you want to get in on the ground floor of Trinity War, you definitely want to pick this one up.
And next up this week, following a little bit after last week's very cool Age of Ultron AI 10-point monkey something or other. The very cool book we told you about last week. We have a new book out this week called Avengers AI 1. And this is written by Sam Humphries with art by the same guy whose name I couldn't pronounce last week, Aria Yuho. And essentially, this is at the end of Age of Ultron... everything changed. Superboy punched the universe, and there was time quakes, and everything was weird. And one of the fallouts of the solution that they came up with was Hank Pym sort of evolved a new type of virus or a new type of AI, and it has the potential to cause a war, to cause humans. Apparently, humans have seen some of these movies where like robots kill everybody, like the Terminator or Terminator 2. Really the whole Terminator franchise. Several others have brought you into that. And the humans are afraid. And Pym essentially wants to head that off because he sees AIs as a valid life form. Especially since he has some friends like Vision or his sort of weird secondary grandson, Victor La Mancha. Yeah. I was going to call him like Machine Teen, but I'm like, that's not.
That's another character.
Yeah. And so this is about assembling a team that's knowledgeable about AI and trying to head off the conflict. Basically, it's Uncanny Avengers, but instead of mutants versus humans, it's humans versus AI. It's society trying to kill the robots, and the robots being like, no, we can be friends and hug and stuff. But this was actually a big surprise to me. It's good. You have Pym reactivating a Doombot to be on the team and gives this great kind of just sideline dialogue, and he's still a Doombot. He still wants to destroy everyone, but because of Pym's programming and putting a Suicide Squad-style bomb in his chest, he's working with the team reluctantly, and he's constantly talking smack about them, kind of like HK-47 if you ever played Knights of the Old Republic. and it's just very solid. It takes characters like Victor La Mancha, who've had very little solo screen time, and makes them compelling. You see the interrelations between him and the Vision, who are sort of vaguely related since they're both sort of spawned by Ultron, and it makes Hank Pym actually cool and leading a team and getting stuff done in the Marvel Universe. So, Avengers AI 1 out this week. Is that right? AI?
Yeah.
There's the fonts all look. I think there's a point one in here. I don't know. Too many points at Marvel.
It's not a point one. It's a 1. Finally, for me, 10 grand issue number 3, written by J. Michael Straczynski with art by Ben Templesmith. Hey, another Image comic. And this is one of my favorite books being published month in and month out. We're only 3 issues in, and first off, it's been on time, which is awesome. And that's one thing that Straczynski has said with all of his Image work. They're going to wait to solicit books until they get, a lot of them done, or all of them done if it's a miniseries. And it's Straczynski's writing with this one. It's got to be. I mean, that's what's got me hooked. The voices of the characters are so good, and there's really not a whole lot new in this book that we haven't seen before. We've got a lovable bad guy who is trying to do good, who gets the girl that he never thinks he's going to get, and then they both die tragically, and then he is offered a deal to come back and work for God, possibly, and every time he dies a righteous death, he becomes immortal. Every time he dies a righteous death, he gets to spend 5 minutes with his loved one, with his girlfriend, who is also dead, so it's kind of weird. They just get 5 minutes to hang out and talk. But it's an emotional book. It is filled with great dialogue. Again, the characters are engaging, and there are demons. And we get the feeling in this issue that not everything is as it seems. So 10 grand is just so good. We still have all 3 issues in stock. If you haven't checked it out yet, I highly encourage you to, if you enjoy good storytelling and good comic books. So that is it. Another week wrapped up, another strong week of comics. And comics in general, I think the industry is thriving at this point. We've got so many choices, so many different genres. Creator-owned keeps getting bigger and bigger, which is a good thing. And we hope that you come down and check out all of the new books this week, or head out to your local comic book store. If you do have any comments or questions, please leave them below, and we'll see you next time.